the question would be, so in terms of Muslim mastery, do you think we need to change how we view jobs and careers?
Yeah, I think there's a really good thing that people say, perception is reality, right? Which basically means that what is real, people don't really think about what's real. They think more about how they see things, and that becomes their reality. For me, like if you even think about like Islam as its basics, it always starts with Iman, the belief, right? And so for us at Muslim Mastery, we understand that the mindset, the heart, the belief, this is the fundamental to performance, right? And if you can get your beliefs and your mindset and everything correct, the actions and everything else will follow naturally. And that's why the scholars will say, like, if you have Iman in your heart, it's very natural for you to then profess it with your tongue and for you to take action with your limbs. And that's why, you know, like when we didn't understand Quran, we always used to read, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, which means those who have faith and do righteous deeds. Like righteous deeds almost always is connected with Iman, because as soon as you have Iman, it's a default that you're going to do great action. And so for us at Muslim Mastery, we were thinking like, you know what, fundamentally, if we can help Muslims to sort their mindset out, their beliefs and everything around that, the performance and everything else will come itself.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we have that kind of, that real view that, you know, what we're doing in terms of the career isn't just to get a 9-to-5 job and live a comfortable life. That's a byproduct, but really it's something deeper. There's a real meaning. And I think if we do learn how to connect it to Ibadah and our deen, then I think we can literally go another level. And whether it's setbacks or whether it's kind of challenges we face, if we've got that mindset, then I don't think we can ever lose. And I think, you know, I think the Muslim with that mindset, there is no, as we call it, L's in life. Yeah. There's only lessons and things that you learn from. Those are the only 2 L's you should be taking.
Yeah.
But, you know, kind of going into that and kind of going into a bit more kind of practical stuff, what key skills do you think young Muslims should be focusing on from an early stage?
Yeah. So I think there's loads of skills, right? So firstly, I think communication is massive. Okay. If you think about success and failure, I think communication is like the basis of it all. Because anything you want in life, you can access through communication, right? Either you're going to get it by beating up people, taking their lunch money, you got money, right? Or you're going to, like most people, 99% of people are going to use their influence and their communication. So for me, like a lot of the work that I do with people is coaching them and training them and helping them with speaking, with confidence, which is about what you feel internally, which is about the way you talk, influence, all these kind of things. So for me, overall communication, I think is a superpower, whether that's in business in terms of marketing and sales, whether that's individually. Like you imagine if you didn't have confidence or if you didn't have communication trying to do things, like you trying to go to an interview where you can't communicate. If you can communicate effectively, I'm telling you, you'll go to certain interviews, they'll make their mind up right there. This is the guy for us just based on your communication, right? So I think communication is really, really a big one. I think the second kind of thing I would say is like having self-awareness, right? And actually critical thinking, because a lot of the times, if you can think critically yourself about things you are experiencing in your life, you can develop yourself. But if it requires someone else to constantly come and tell you things you should be seeing yourself, you don't learn as many lessons. You don't learn as quickly as enough, right? So for me, like being aware, like critically of how you're feeling. And as guys, we don't really do that stuff, right? We don't feel about our emotions. Like, you know, I was doing another podcast. It wasn't this. It was, you know, I love doing podcasts like this because I just get to share experience. But someone asked me to do a talk for their organization, and it was on a topic I'd never done it before. So it means I had to like prepare everything for it. And I said yes. And I felt crap about saying yes. But then I was like, okay, I've made a commitment. So am I the type of guy that breaks a commitment, or do I fulfill my commitment? I'm like, no, I fulfill my commitment. Okay, great. So now you just got to do it. So even though I didn't feel great, I just like kind of did it. But I was questioning myself, like, why don't you feel great? What can you do to make yourself feel great? You know, what's the reward of doing this? What's the potential good things that, and so this is me critically thinking and asking myself questions, trying to maneuver myself out of a difficult situation. So I think if you can get to this point where you're more aware, okay, this person's saying something to me now, how am I going to react? Normally I'm going to react like this, but how would I react? So I think communication, self-awareness, and then I said decision-making, okay? Fundamentally, you know, one of the things I said to my children, I ask them certain questions every night because I want to drill this into their head, right? So one of the questions I asked them is, why did Allah create death and life, right? And so the answer is, like Allah tells us in the Quran, that is to test us who does the best deeds, right? So I say to them, okay, how are you going to do the best deeds? How do we know what the best deeds are and how are you going to do them? So they say, okay, the best deeds are the ones that the Prophet ﷺ and Allah has told us are the best. Okay, great. So now you know which are the best deeds. How are you going to do them? How do you do them? Do you know what the answer is, bro? Like, how do you do the best deeds?
Oh, follow the Quran or something.
Okay, so we're going to follow. But how do I actually do it? Because what we need to realize is that as human beings, like we have certain power and Allah has certain power. And Allah has given us certain power. And with that power, like Uncle Ben says in Spider-Man, comes great responsibility, right? So
Uncle
for
Arshad.
us right now, I'll give you an example. I've got my finger here, right? Now, I decide if I'm going to put my finger down or up. Okay, so I decide right now I'm going to put my finger down. Okay, down. I decide I'm going to put it up. Now, is it possible that I might not have power one day to even put my finger down?
Yeah.
It's possible, right?
Yeah.
Because I can only put my finger down now because Allah has allowed me to put it down. If Allah doesn't want me to put this finger down, I cannot put it down. Like there was a time when we went on Hajj, my wife got very ill. She was paralyzed from the neck below, her whole body. And so as a human being, like you think you have power, but like you don't. So what is it when Allah says who does the best deeds? It's not even about you doing the deeds because you might try to do the deeds, but you can't do the deeds. So what does that leave? That leaves only one thing, which is choice, right? The only thing I have is the choice to put my finger down or not. The choice of whether I'm going to pray or not. And that choice is the only thing you'll be held responsible for, right? Because you cannot control what happens after that. So as human beings, we have to get great at decision making, right? As Muslims, this is one of the top skills I would say, that get great at making decisions, because the decisions you make will define what happens to you and the destiny, right? So if you constantly, like the people of Jahannam, they're asked, why are you in Jahannam? We didn't used to pray. That's a decision, right? I decide that right now I'm watching Netflix. It's time for Maghrib. I'm not gonna pray Maghrib. I'm gonna continue watching Netflix. That's the choice I'm making. That comes with consequences. So if I'm bad at decision making, like ignoring my salah for something else, then the consequence of that is going to be bad. So in order for me to be good, I need to be great at making decisions, and then that comes with critical thinking. It goes with that as well, right? Like, if I take 2 minutes out to worship Allah now, is that going to be more beneficial than me ignoring my salah and watching Netflix? Like,
I think, I think there's a positive to it, is that you're in control.
Yes.
Sometimes there's so much noise going on around the background. There's so much things people see and they get overwhelmed. They're thinking, oh wait, this is going, that's going on. My mind is so cluttered. What can I do? But I think fundamentally, you got the power, and the power is with you to make that choice. So like I said, with great power comes great responsibility. Like Uncle Arshad, Uncle Ben has just told us, and I think it's definitely something to really embed it, and accountability, really being that kind of looking in the mirror and really kind of thinking, how can I improve myself? What could I have done maybe a bit better? Because if you're doing it and you're comfortable with it, what you've done wrong or what you may have done could have been better, then if someone else tells you, you're not going to feel offended. You're not going to feel like, oh, why did you say that? Because you've already had it in your mind that, okay, this is what I've done. This is what I may have done well. This is what perhaps I could have done better. And this is what I'm going to improve on for next time. Because you're in the cycle, in a mindset of constantly evaluating yourself to level up, to improve, to keep going forward. But if we're in a mindset that, okay, I've done this and this is perfect, you can't criticize me, and someone says, I think that could have been a bit better, then you're going to suddenly take it a bit offensively, and you're not going to be in that mindset that's going to allow you to thrive. So I think really taking feedback on in the right way and giving yourself feedback and being that kind of critical, productively critical person to yourself, saying, okay, this is what I did well. This is what I can do better. This is what I'm going to do for next time, to really level up. And it's a positive thing to do as well.